Hey everyone, today we're going to be covering Bruno Cathala's board games that he has created over the years, and we're going to look at this French board game designer who has lived in Switzerland for the past 34 years. And we are going to start with his top rated game on Board Game Geek and work our way down to the last game on Board Game Geek that I have played. So, yeah, with that, we will. I'm not going to cover all of his games because it would be really a challenge to play every single one of his. He has quite a few. He's been making games since 2005, and he had a really great title that came out, The Shadows over Camelot. And from there, he created a lot of great other ones, and it was just very apparent that he had a lot of great insight on how to design board games. So he is my favorite board game designer, and I am very excited to jump into this. You can kind of look at some of the images that Board Game Geek has for if somebody took a picture with him, they posted it on here. We get to see it now, and he'll like dress up as his characters. Apparently, he looks like the Abyss box, one of the five Abyss boxes. This is the blue one. Um, I don't know why they covered so many different ones, different boxes, but now Bruno Cathala and Antoine Boza will actually do a lot of things together. They both are French, so they'll collaborate with a lot of different board games, and I think that's pretty cool. They're both great designers. Um, Actually, it'd be kind of cool to look at the overview of him real quick to see if it says who he did the games with. So he does a lot of games with others. I've noticed that about him. So Sergei Laget, I'm not gonna say all these names, but Ludovic Montblanc. He's worked with Ludovic Montblanc on a lot of ones. Sergei Laget on a lot of three so far. Um, yeah, lots more. Anton Boza finally in 2015 with Seven Wonders Duel. And then, does he ever work on any others with Anton Boza? Um, this is an abridged list of notable games, so likely there's a lot more that he's worked with Anton Boza on. I know there's a like Mr. Shark game or something that predates Shadows Over Camelot, Dr. Shark, that he worked with Anton Boza on, I believe, and that will predate 2005. So not necessarily to start at 2005. I'm sorry. With that, we will get right down to it and look at his top games. So, as you might have already guessed, Seven Wonders Duel is the top game that he has designed, and we are going to go from there. So, first off, um, yeah, this is the tier list on tiermaker.com, and I will put a link in the description for how you could rank your own on your own tier list. But we're going to go through and go S tier is like the best, like it was impossible to get that good, but it got that good. And then there's A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier. And the impossible happens right with the very first one. Seven Wonders Duel is an S tier. By far, it just blew everyone's mind when it came out. We didn't realize that two-player drafting could be so good. The play is astounding. You're just and really simple. You just take a card and then one or two cards flip up underneath it, and then every other row has face down cards, um, and then the other rows have face up cards, and so you half know what's coming, half know what's not coming. Genius, because that is what drafting's kind of all about. You start if you're playing Sushi Go, right? You start with seven cards, you know all seven, and then you don't know what's in the seven of everybody else's hand. You trade off the cards, and then you get handed a bunch of other cards later. Now there's only six in the hand that you're given, and now you know even more cards that are at the table, but more cards are getting diminished, and slowly, halfway through the draft, you know every single card that is out. So in Seven Wonders Duel, you kind of have that feeling where you have half the information displayed, and you can gamble and think, I'll bet the card I need will flip up if my opponent takes that card that he wants. Then the two face down cards flip up, and I'll be able to take the one that I need. Maybe it's if you have six science, you can automatically win the game. If you have enough military to push past your opponent's walls, then you can defeat them in military. And either of those objectives being abused, you cannot even worry about ending the game via points. You end it early and with a win in science or military. And you say haha to your enemy, your opponent, and say, sorry, that's just how the game goes. But that was not actually a part of Seven Wonders regular. And that's something I want to point out with this game as we get into the rest of the games. Seven Wonders, normally, if you had a ton of military, it was a waste. It was overkill in military. Now, science, if you had overkill in science, somebody had to really work hard to beat you in points because the science points exponentially ramped up. Sorry, it's mirrored. Exponentially ramped up. And the science strategy, you could make a point and say, hey, if you just get enough science, you can win the game. Well, Bruno Cathala took that and said, hey, why not just end it early? If somebody allows you to take too many science cards, then just end the game early and call it a win there. And I'm sure he worked that into it because a lot of his other designs, and even in interviews that I've watched of him, he has said that he like people will question him, what do you think about if somebody's abusing the strategy in your game to end the game early, like one that we're going to talk about right here, Five Tribes. I'll place that in the it's going to be A tier. So Five Tribes, unless it's the expansion, then I'll put an S tier with the expansions, but A tier. So in Five Tribes, somebody was asking him, Bruno, if somebody abuses there's two ways to end the game. If there's, normally if there's no more moves to play in the game, then the game is over. But if you run out of, as you're making moves, you place camels out, and that's a piece, and you have only so many camels. If you run out of camels, that will also trigger the end of the game. Bruno, what do you think about somebody just placing a camel every single turn? Like, you don't have to do that for points. There's other options to get points, and sometimes a lot of better options than to place a camel every turn. But what do you think about somebody who just abuses that and places a camel every single turn? And sometimes they'll even abuse this red tribe. There's 5 tribes. They'll abuse one of the tribes to place 2 camels out every turn. And if somebody does that every turn and they just end the game, 40% of the way into a normal game, just cut it by half the time. Do you like that? What do you think about that? Somebody abusing that, and what would you tell those people? And Bruno Cathala was just like, I would say that's a good idea because that's what I do. So I just really thought that was funny that he responded in that way, and he says that he likes it when there is a speed way to try to end the game quicker and snuff out a win for somebody else who's trying to go for a long engine building type of game, which would require the game to go to that full 100% gameplay time to see their points really like ramp up. So he likes to do that with a lot of his games. I'll go over the other 4 tribes really quickly. There's that Assassins that gets rid of the camels. This game uses a Mancala-esque thing where you pick up all of the meeples, whatever color they are, the red tribe, the green tribe, blue, yellow, white, whatever. You pick all of them up that are on a tile. Maybe there's only 3 at the start, but then, as you'll see, more get placed out because you drop 1, 2, then 3 spaces away. So 1, 1, 1, and then wherever the last one lands, you pick all the same colors up of the last one you place. So you have a red, white, and blue. You do a blue, then a white, and then you place a red out, and then you take all of the reds up, and then you do the assassin ability, which is to kill another meeple somewhere else, or one of the meeples that your opponent has. So that would be how the game is played, really. That you can look up a better rules video, I'm sure. But I'll go over the rest of the tribes with how their points work as far as strategy, because I like to talk strategy, and I know a lot of the strategy of 5 tribes, and I feel like I could do pretty well if they would just put this game on Board Game Arena. With 5 tribes, there's 4 other tribes. The blue tribes gives you kind of immediate points, that's static, just like you get a little bit more points, you get a little bit more points, but you kind of get the same amount of points each time you do a blue action. And you get that in money, so you can use that money to bid to go first the next round. It's a bidding game to see who goes first. So sometimes you see a really great move, you got to bid a lot of coins for that. Strategy tips: don't bid a lot of coins. Usually it's good to just bid 0 or 1 coin each round, because you're losing points to get points at that point. So, yeah, better, unless you see a move that's like 20 points when all the other moves are 4 points. Don't bid a ton of points. Like maybe there's an 8-point move and a 7-point move, and those are the only 2 great moves. Just bid 0, and then you can take the 7-point move. And your opponent who bid 3, they take the 8-point move and they lose. Anyways, back to that. So those are the blues. You just get kind of a static amount of points. You just get as many points as blues that you picked up multiplied by blue tiles around them. There's red tiles and blue tiles. Blue tiles can multiply for those blue scoring things. Then you have the white ones and the yellow ones. Those go in front of you. White score 2 points per white at the end of the game, but they are a resource you can use to sacrifice 2 whites or a white and a slave card you can get later on. Either of those 2 options you can use to get a genie whenever you land on a genie cave. Because wherever you land with that last meeple, you also get not only the color action, but also the tile action, which is pretty cool. And so those are the whites, and then the yellows stay in front of you as well, and they will score you points based on 10 points for each player that has less yellows than you. So if you're playing against an opponent and you both have 4 yellows at the end of the game, which is a pretty normal amount, then you both will just score 0 points for that, plus however many yellows you have, so 4. But if one of you has 5 and the other has 4, then that 5 person gets 5 points plus 10, 15, and you would only get 4. And you can see how that could work if there's a 4-player game. Somebody who just has 1 more yellow than everybody else could score 30 points. So in a higher player count, those yellows are really powerful. And then you have the green, and the green can get you kind of more of that exponential amount of points with you take as many greens as you took. That's how many cards that you take from a market, and there are other tiles that can also allow you to pick and choose from a market, paying a certain amount of coins. So with that, you're going to wow, 12 minutes in already, and I haven't gotten past 5 tribes. That's how much I love the game. You take things from the market, and with different things in the market, you score more points. So one thing from a market is just worth 1 point. We have 2 different things. Like if you have rice, it's 1 point. If you get rice and beans, it's 3 points. If you have rice, beans, and a carrot, I don't remember the things, then it's worth like 6 points. And then if you have 4 different things, rice, beans, a carrot, and then a diamond, and there's only like 2 diamonds in the whole game, so good job finding that one. There was a ton of beans. But then you're going to get 10 points. So it's like 1, 3, 6, 10, and then it jumps to 15, and then after that it jumps to 21, and then after that it just kind of ramps up. So you want to get lots of different things. And then there's also randomly set inside of there, there's some slave cards, or if you have the new edition, I don't want to say it wrong, but the Fakirs, hope I didn't swear, but there's the Fakirs cards, and you can use those slave cards with a white card, so you don't have to lose the 2 points. And that's just kind of a consolation prize. If you don't grab, like say there's just a ton of beans, you don't want the beans, just grab a slave and then use that slave with a white, and then you can get a genie a little easier. It reminds me of like Jafar and like sending Aladdin out to go inside of the cave, and you're sending like a bunch of like prisoners into a cave and trying to grab out the genie from there. There's a lot of good theming in 5 tribes, which I really like. So with that, we'll move on to Cyclities. Cyclities is a really cool game. It actually goes through Greek mythology, and I gotta go faster through all these. So I'll just say with Cyclities that every single move is very, like, you're bidding on something, and then based on how you bid, then it goes through a multiple of different decision points, and you fight a war on a board. So it's like a very Euro-y dudes on a map fighting game. and I want to play it some more. I've only really played it once, but I love my play of it, and we'll put that as B. I know Cyclities can also, if you get some monster upgrade, you can combine the monsters in it with the monsters in Kemet. What a cool idea. So Cyclities, really great game. I've actually played Kemet. I like Cyclities better. Um, yeah, I know that's a unpopular opinion probably. But now we're moving on to King Domino. King Domino, Bruno Cathala actually won the Spiel with, and let's see, when did King Domino come out? You know what? We gotta organize these. We gotta click the board game rank thing so we can have them in the correct rank order. All right, 1874, 2001. Now King Domino. Okay, so King Domino 2016 it came out. All right, so he actually won the Spiel, the greatest award for any board game to get, in 2016 when his buddy Anton Boza won it in 2013, I believe, with Hanabi. So that was kind of exciting to see. And 3 years later, finally wins the Spiel with something. Even though I believe he has more titles out than Anton Boza. So yeah, King Domino. What is it about though? It's about you're tile laying these dominoes that are double tiles and trying to score points based on multiples of crowns that are on the tile color and rest of colors that are there. So if there's 2 crowns in a field of 6, then it's going to be 12 points. And then some areas have very little of their color, like the mines, the black color. There's only maybe 6 of them in the game, so it's really hard to come by. But the mines have a lot of crowns on them. So if you have only 3 mines, but each of them has 2 crowns on them, then that's going to be 2 plus 2 plus 2, that's 6, multiplied by the 3 black squares that are touching each other. So 6 multiplied by 3, 18 points for those mines. Or would you rather the fields that have very little crowns on them, but there are a lot of fields, the yellow fields, and so maybe you have 2 crowns on fields, but you have 24 different fields. So that's, or 12 different fields. So that's going to be 24 points. So those are the things you kind of have to think about with as you're playing King Domino. But ultimately, it's a pretty light game. And based on the tile that you take, on the back of each tile is how much, how valuable the tile is. And if you take a lower tile, then that is going to allow you to go first next turn. But if you take one of the mines that allows you to have 2 or even 3 crowns on it, you're not going first the next round. So King Domino, and it's got a cool 2-player variant with it as well. Bruno Cathala likes to do this in his games, where you actually have 2 workers that go out and sit on the tiles, and you might go first and last in the next round, and your opponent might take the 2 middle actions. 5 Tribes actually has the same thing in its 2-player variant, which makes it a very different game. Some people really like it. I think it's okay. You could definitely abuse it so that you work off of the move that you just did as you're playing the Mancala thing, but that's all I'll say with 5 Tribes because I've exhausted talking about 5 Tribes. Love that game. Sneak that up into S tier? Yeah, sure. If it's got the expansion with that 6th tribe. Okay. Next up, we have, King Domino, B tier. Next up, we have Red Planet. Now, or is it Mission Red Planet? Yeah. So that game, it reminds me of a game called Citadels where you play a role from your hand that you want to do, and then carry out that role, and then that role is used up. Then you have other roles in your hand that you play. And so everybody knows what is an option for you to do. And it's kind of, some of the cards allow you to area control Mars, the red planet, and a lot of different cool aspects with that. I really like Mission Red Planet. Haven't played it a lot, but I would play it again. I'll put that in B tier. Abyss. Abyss is a really cool game, and it has like a storyline behind it. Like they really overproduced this game, kind of. It's got really thick cardboard, giant, like some text that's only like this small. They made a giant cardboard square or rectangle with it and called it a location, a kingdom. And I mean, I know that's not completely like overproduced, but then they also added pearls in it instead of just like paper money or little tokens. And so you've got pearls, and then pearls would roll over all over the flat table. So they have a bucket that you put the pearls in, and a lot of cool aspects that they didn't have to do for this game, but they made it look really nice. And the artwork is incredible. It makes you feel like you're in an immersed world. I think these are supposed to be like mer people or something like that. These are like dark ones of the abyss that have their own secret society of different lords, and you can get really into the storyline or the world that has been crafted by Bombix. I don't know who produced the game, but Bruno Cathala came up with the idea of the game, at least the mechanisms of it, and then it's got obviously a really great artist. But Abyss, I will put in A tier. I really like the theming of it. Like I was saying, it teaches you the game as you play it. So you have the soldiers, which are fighting others, the reds. You see a theme in there: the assassins with 5 tribes. You have the soldiers who are red. And their abilities are to fight all the other players, make their lives harder. The mages, which are purple, they allow you to get kind of a special ability. The merchants, which their special ability is usually to give you money, and then they're green. And then the blue politicians, and they kind of their ability is to work with the rest of the lords. So you can sometimes swap out lords. You get a blue politician, and then you can take a red that you don't need anymore, swap it out for a yellow, and that's another color that the yellow farmers, they actually give you just straight points. Not a single farmer in the game has word text other than their name on them, so you don't really need to think too much with playing a farmer strategy. They just give you straight points, and sometimes more points than a special ability of another lord would allow you to have. So yeah, they got the soldiers, the mages, the merchants, the politicians, the farmers, and then they also have a 6th tribe, these ambassadors. There's only 3 of them, and those are a rainbow of colors. They're all the colors that you have to spend on them, and their ability is to just get another one of these locations, and each of these locations give you a certain amount of points. You're using your money, these pearls, but I love at the end of the game that the money isn't really valuable anymore. There's no like Seven Wonders Duel at the end of the game. Every 3 coins is worth 1 point. In Abyss, you could have, if you're playing a merchant strategy, you could have 5 or 10 pearls, which is a lot, and then not score any points at the end of the game because of that, or from the pearls. You need to convert those pearls into points. I really like that. And a lot can be said for the different strategies in the game, but I'll make plenty of other videos. I already have made a lot of videos for the strategies of Abyss, because this, Seven Wonders Duel, and King Domino are all on Board Game Arena. Let's see, some of the others are on Board Game Arena. Not really. None of the others are on Board Game Arena that I... None of the... He's also got another one, another Abyss game that we'll come to later that is on Board Game Arena. Abyss Conspiracy, but other than that, he doesn't really have very many others on Board Game Arena, which is sad. I'd rather him have a lot more. But let's move on. Now we are moving on to Raptor 427 on Board Game Arena. Sorry, Board Game Geek. And then he's got, so Raptor is a 2-player game where one person is the Raptors and the other person is a scientist trying to study the Raptors. And I thought it was all right. I feel like there is a problem with its asymmetry in it, so I'm going to give it C tier. I feel like one of the types, I think maybe the Raptors could always beat the scientists, or vice versa, I don't remember. But I felt like there was not really some balance there. Basically, in the game, you're going to have a hand of cards. What is it, like 0 through 9 or 1 through 9, something like that. And if you play out your 7 and your opponent plays out a 9, they don't get to do their special ability, but you get to do your special ability. They get 9 minus 7, 2 actions. They get to do 2 actions on their turn. If you lay out your 1, it's a really powerful special ability, but your opponent who played a 9 would get 8 normal, regular actions they could do. So you have to really be thinking, like, what do I want to do on my turn? which I liked that about it. So it's definitely not a D tier, but any asymmetry game I'm probably not going to like that much, because an asymmetry game is one person's the Raptors, the other person's the scientists, and each of the powers are very different, but it's not like you have similar goals or similar abilities in it. So the more asymmetric it gets, you're almost learning two different games in some of these asymmetric games, and they don't really ring to me as often. They're cool ideas in itself, but in practice, I find a lot of times one is unbalanced, and I like to play games very deeply, and as I get deeper into the game, I like to see balance in it, and yeah, I as soon as I felt a twinge of, oh shoot, like one of the sides is too strong, I lost interest in Raptor, but I would play it again for sure. It is a C tier for me, so that is not something bad at all. That's just an okay game. Next up, Shadows over Camelot. I'm going to have to spend another 10 minutes talking about Shadows over Camelot, how much I love this game. So get ready. Shadows over Camelot, you are uh, fighting as the Knights of Camelot against the many evils that could plague Camelot. You have different Saxons to the on one side, and then you have the Picts coming from the other side, and they're fighting against you. And then you also have a Black Knight quest that you could go out and do, and then you have a Dragon quest. Um, oh, by the way, the Holy Grail needs to be found. Oh, by the way, King Arthur's wife kind of slept with Sir Lancelot, and you need to go take care of business with Lancelot and execute him and take away Lancelot's armor, which has some magical properties as well. And and also, by the way, Excalibur is being taken slowly deeper into the water, and you need to go get Excalibur before it's too late. All these different quests you can do, and 3 of the quests actually can give you a special magical artifact. And it's a cooperative game, so you're all working together. Be like, hey, I'll go get Excalibur. Oh no, I'll go get Lancelot's armor and take out him. It's a really dangerous quest, but I can do it. It's a solo quest. I'll do it by myself. And then somebody be like, yeah, does anybody else want to join me and fight the Picts? We'll do that and play it against the Picts. And I'm not going to go through all the mechanisms that work through each of the different quests, but in Shadows over Camelot, you have one person may be the traitor. And secretly, you have 8 different cards. One of them is a traitor card. 7 are good cards. You count how many players are playing, and like 5 players are playing. You take all 8 cards. Unless you want to make it hard on yourself, then you only take 6 cards. But I like just play all 8 cards. You take all 8 of them, shuffle them all up, deal out those what I say 6 players. So deal out 6 cards out, and then you take the other 3 cards of the 8. You hide them so nobody can see if the traitor is not even in the game, and then you just start playing. And that's what's really cool, is like you could play the game till the end and then think that somebody else is trying to make you lose the game and make the Picts actually win the war just barely, or make Excalibur get lost, or make Lancelot defeat you, and then or try to win Excalibur and take Excalibur for themselves, or win the Holy Grail and take the Holy Grail for themselves and not use it for the good of the people, and possibly use it for to make the game harder for you. So there's a lot of greed in the game as well too, because you could have everybody being good in the game. Nobody's a villain, but because you don't trust each other, or because you just want to have the special power, you say, "No, I'll take Excalibur. I give it to me." And then if people don't disagree with you, you look in the rulebook and see, all right, who actually gets Excalibur? Oh, it's the person who played the last card. Okay, then you do get Excalibur. Well, that's unfair, So because you weren't helping the whole time, you just came into the quest the turn before it ended and played out the final card and got Excalibur for yourself. So now everybody doesn't trust you because you're greedy. You can call out somebody as your heroic action. You only get 1 heroic action per turn. And as your heroic action, you can call out somebody and say, hey, I think you're the traitor. And if you are correct, something mildly good will happen. If you are incorrect, something majorly bad, a major setback will happen. Like one of your good things will flip over to one of the evil side. And that's just, you don't want to have that happen. So you don't want to be wrong when you call somebody out. I've had a lot of great times with this. I even had one example. I played this in China where I was playing with somebody, and they they actually didn't have a good thing that they could do on their turn as a heroic action, and the rules say you need to do something as your heroic action. At the very least, you need to move somewhere else. But movement was risky in the game, and it was going to be a waste of time. So we're like, well, it'd be good if you just stayed where you're at, and then you wait to draw a card next turn, or King Arthur can hand you cards. Just have King Arthur give you a card that you need so that you can stay in your position and fight off the picks. Just stay in the picked area just a little bit longer. But I can't. I need to do my heroic action. Well, what is a heroic action you can do? You could trade in 3 of the same card to heal yourself 1 life. No, you don't have 3 of the same card. No, you have no cards. That's right. You need cards from King Arthur. Well, you could call somebody out as the traitor, and we kind of looked at each other and we're like, we don't want to do that early. But he needs to win the pick thing. It's like, all right, just call me out as the or just call somebody out as the traitor, so that we can just keep you there, so we don't lose the picked battle, because that's even more important. And that was a weird rule or weird scenario, but things like that happen in Shadows over Camelot. Hundreds more than that example, where you get into a point where, hey, it is actually breaking the normal metagame, where instead of waiting till the end of the game to, okay, this whole time you've been acting villainous, you are the traitor, I'm calling you out and wasting my turn. It was like, we have to call somebody out. It only makes sense, otherwise we're wasting our time. This may set us back, but hopefully you call out somebody. And he called out the correct person. He didn't call out me, he called out somebody else, and they were the traitor. And I was like, wow, that actually set us ahead in the game. Really love that game. That's another S tier. So that's Shadows over Camelot. Okay. Then we have Queen Domino. It's going to be very similar to King Domino. I have the giant version of this game. I really enjoy it. It adds a little bit extra things than King Domino. I don't know if those extra things are necessary for the game, but I think I would play either one. So both of them are B tier, great games. Conan, I've never played. Jamaica, I played once. Sure, I'll rate it. It was like a racing game, and there was some fighting in it, piracy. Let's put it at B tier. I think I liked it. I'd play it again. Mr. Jack, it's a 2-player deduction game. I thought it was all right. At the end of it, I was like, okay, you found me. I'm Jack. I didn't really think it was that great. We're going to put that in C tier. Yamatai. Oh, man. I really thought this was going to be one of my favorite games, because, it had that Asian theme that I like, but it was going to be similar to Five Tribes. It was going to be like same. Days of Wonder created it. He worked a lot of games with Days of Wonder, including Shadows of Camelot and Five Tribes, but Days of Wonder was this cool company that only came out with 1 game a year, but it was a very good game, and they really produced it to the max, made it look beautiful, and really put a lot of effort into it. The designer really worked overtime on each of the games that were made by Days of Wonder, and Yamatai really was not that great. I think I had like high hopes coming into it, and then after playing it, I was like, this is so dumb. You're just going around with ships, scoring points here, scoring points there. So it had that point salad-y type of thing that Five Tribes had, but not a really cool Mancala mechanism, not really cool mechanisms at all for moving around your ships. It really was terrible. I'll put that in D tier. I just had such high hopes for that, but not just that. It wasn't because I had high hopes for it. There, I've rated it a 4. It just wasn't that great. It felt boring. The opposite of the point salad that I like. Okay. Now next up we have Kanagawa. I've never played it. Next up we have Mr. Jack Pocket. Never played that. Or Mr. Jack, I don't know. Does that say Pocket? What's the next one? Yeah, Mr. Jack Pocket. Next we have Dice Town. Played this once. I really enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed that more than most of his game. Maybe not Cyclities, but most of these in the B tier. So I'll put it right there. Yeah. All right. Then next up we have in Dice Town, you just roll dice, and with the dice that you have, you can do different actions, playing like poker. I don't want to get too much into it because one, I'm running out of time with this video, but also I love Bruno Cathala's game so much that I'm running out of time, and 2, I don't remember it completely, but I remembered I enjoyed it. Cleopatra and the Society of Architects, haven't played it. It's also another Days of Wonder game. Man, he works a lot with Days of Wonder. Did another Red Planet game, Mission Red Planet. 2005 version. Then there's Conspiracy: The Abyss Universe. To be honest, I don't actually know all the rules to this game, but I've played it like 10 times on Board Game Arena. Um, I I guess I don't know all the rules, so I just don't really feel right ranking it. But from what I have been able to deduce from it, like you are playing creating like a reverse pyramid of these different, playing out these different lords from Abyss and matching colors. I think I would like it. We'll put it in B tier for now for the times that I have played it. Like I know kind of what gets you points in it, but I haven't looked at every single strategy in each rule. Next up, I haven't played a lot of these other games. Imaginarium, Game of Thrones, Hand of the King. I own it, haven't played it. There is a King Domino Duel that he has. That's really hard to see, but King Domino Duel I have not played. King Domino Origins have not played. Sobek haven't played. Boomtown not played. Micropolis really want to play it. I like any game that has ants in it. I think those are cool mechanisms you can do with that. You know what? I haven't played a lot of his less popular and Board Game Geek games, so we'll just go through them. Phantom of the Opera, Dragomino, Okia, SOS Titanic, Queen's Necklace. Now, Longhorn I have played, and I really enjoy it. I think it's got the Mancala mechanism of 5 tribes. However, let's see, 5 tribes came out in 2014, and Longhorn came out in, let's see, 2014 versus 2013. Okay, interesting. So Longhorn was really cool. You pick up these cows and you move them around. Colors that they have, you land on and pick up all those same colors. And I really liked Longhorn. I thought that was a pretty cool game. There's a way that you can end the game early in it by having the person triggering the person to take a tile that kills them. So he likes to do that in a lot of his games, trigger an end game, but it's only 2 players and it plays pretty quickly. Rather than like 5 tribes, the Mancala in it takes a lot longer. Now, the way so Longhorn, you score as many points at the end of the game as there are cows left on the board of your same color. So if you have 4 cows and there's 4 orange cows and there's 6 orange cows on the board, then that means that you're going to score 6, 12, 18, 24 points. But if your opponent takes 2 of those cows, now there's 4, 4, and 2, then you're only going to score 4, 8, 12, 16, and your opponent's going to score 8 points. So ideally, you want your opponent to not take any of them and you take a ton of them. Also, if you take every single one of the colors, then I believe that is an automatic win. So that's another cool thing about Longhorn. But you don't want to take, like, if you've already taken 8 of the colors and there's 2 left, that's going to be 16 points only. If you take 1 more, then that goes down to 9 points. So you don't want to take a ton of cows. You want to leave some cows out there on the board. And I do really like that about Longhorn. It was some pretty cool strategy there. Next up, we have Zany Penguins. This is like crazy drafting on steroids. This is you have your hand of penguins and you play out some penguins. You give a penguin to the left of you, penguin to your right of you, and then a penguin you play down, and then they all do different things based on where. So you give a penguin here, give a penguin there, and they all do different things based on what you played out as your middle penguin, and everybody flips up their middle penguin that they're playing, and then they do whatever it says on it. Maybe that penguin is a bomb and kills all the other penguins on it, or maybe it's a number and whoever has the highest number gets some points out of it. So Zany Penguins, pretty cool game, but you just have to remember, wait, you handed me these cards, you handed me these cards. There's a lot of different piles of cards being handed around, so that was somewhat of a negative to the game. But other than that, I really liked it. I'm going to put that in the B tier as well. And next up, you know what? That is everything. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think about Bruno Cathala's board games. He has quite a few of them, and he has a lot of great titles out there. So hope you all enjoyed my my really long going over through Bruno Cathala's different board games. I'm tired, but he has got some really great titles out there, and y'all just gotta play them. You gotta try these games out. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for sticking through this 40-minute video, and let me know in the comments below what you think about Bruno Cathala's games. What are your favorites? Let me know. Thank you very much for watching.